Thanks for joining us here at Seagull Stadium. This round 12 match on the eve of Origin 3 to be played tomorrow night at Suncorp Stadium. This clash of the Coast and the Magpies. The Gold Coast never beaten Western Suburbs since entering the competition in 1988. Craig Coleman, their captain. Plenty expected from him today. Likewise, his 5'8" Peter Gill. And the Magpies riding high in 1995, sitting on 14 competition points and led out by Paul Langmack, playing his 250th first grade match today. Been around since 1983. And these Magpies today, their squad also looking to win 3 straight matches for the first time this year. No Brent Stewart there from the lineup. The Kiwi prop forward failing to back up from Friday night's test against France.
At 5'8", number 6 is Andrew Willis. Steve Georgalis is the halfback.
And it's Andrew Leeds to get us underway for this match. The Gold Coast for the first half, defending the southern end of Seagull Stadium. And all the way back, we'll bring it back to the 20. McGuinness coming up with the first tackle. Bill Dunn over the top. The player driven sideways was Brett Gillard. Injured the last match we saw the Coast play against Penrith, but has made a recovery, of course, 2 weeks since that match. High scoring affair, that one too. Now the ball with Campion over the 30 for the Seagulls. And the Seagulls' 2 victories this year have been on this ground. As Dave Woods hits it up against one of his former clubs. There's plenty of them. Tackled 9 metres inside his own half. Georgalis in there. Mark Horrow was a little slow to roll away from the tackled player. Switch of play now from Gill to Coleman. This time with it, McGrady centre field. And tackled on the last. Again, Mark Horrow in there with Georgalis. Kicking duties for the first time today with Brendan Hurst. Came a little off the side of the boot, but worked out all right. First bouncing over the sideline. So the scrum to pack down 3 or 4 metres outside the Western Suburbs 20.
Brendan Hurst himself there, very concerned after he kicked it off the side of the boot. You can see it on the replay. Luckily bounced inside the sideline.
This time they get him down, just Campion needed. Away for Grief. Without his front row partner today, Brent Stewart. And the Magpies centre field, 25 metres out from the Gold Coast line. Well, that looked a very flat pass from dummy half from Mesher to Langmack. A little swinging arm over the top, which McBlain is going to react on, and maybe not such a small swinging arm. Langmack stayed down.
Well, David Woods is the man. You're right. I thought it was lucky to get that far. It looked like a forward pass from dummy half. Dave Woods, former Western Suburbs player. Well, he's been around a bit. He had a couple of shots at him. He certainly got him across the chin there.
So Dave Woods rightly penalised and within kicking range for the Magpies. In fact, right in front of the Gold Coast sticks. There's Dave Woods. You can write a book about his career as far as clubs he's travelled to. Parramatta, Western Suburbs, a couple of stints at Canberra, Newcastle as well, and 2 stints in England with Barrow and Wakefield.
Langmack fighting in the tackle, and Woods, well, he's got him. I don't know if there's any bad blood between them, but that swinging arm would have hurt Langmack.
Andrew Leeds, again, has been in fine form this year. Fine kicking form as well. 80% success rate in 1995. This one of his easier kicks. It's hit the upright. Some pressure on the Coast. Very slow to get across to it. Cleaned up by Patterson. For a while there, he stood back and watched. That's an uncustomary miss from Andrew Leeds from right in front, 20 out. Taken across field as Gillard. In turn, it's been good defence after the kick missed. There's now Colin Ward, taken by Kyle White in that tackle. And the Gold Coast still only 10 metres out from their own line. Through the hands of Gill onto Campion. So 5 tackles and they've made no more than 15 metres. And they've come up with the error on the last tackle, Peter Gill. A changeover, 15 out from the Gold Coast line. The Magpies, big chance now. Georgalis across for Langmack. The wrap around with Georgalis, leads almost to Shepherd. Georgalis driven to ground by Craig Coleman. Coleman, I think, was pleading for the penalty from McBlain for the Shepherd. Now it's Mesher at first receiver. Taken in the tackle by Dave Woods. The Magpies have got McGuinness at dummy half. He goes solo the left side. Gets to within a metre of the try line. Now the line is spread out on the right. It's Mesher. He brings White back infield. White held up in the tackle. Woods and Coleman there. Still on the attack, the Magpies. Putting intense pressure on this Gold Coast side. Georgalis through Andrew Willis. A little jink got past Ward. 5 tackles used up by the Magpies. Langmack, let's see if they try the high ball on the last. It's Leeds. Not his best bomb. It's coming down in the field of play, well in the field of play. Bounces nicely for Coleman. And one of the smallest men on the field comes up with a football. So still no score. And the Gold Coast trying to work it out of their own danger zone.
It was a great opportunity for West there. 6 tackles right on the Gold Coast line. Not able to come up with anything. Really, not even a half a break by the West players. I'd have to say some good confidence there would have been got for the Gold Coast defence.
Well, now works the ball for Gillard. 10 inside his own half again. Grief was the first man in for the tackle. Assist from Langmack. Coleman with a kick on the last. This time no error. Coleman placing that kick between the winger and fullback and has done very well, Craig Coleman. And what about it? I thought Darren Willis probably could have had a go at that ball.
Well, certainly he had an opportunity to pick it up, but it was bouncing awkwardly. The kick from Coleman here. He should do the kicking for the rest of the game. I think he's got a very well-placed kick, but it stayed fairly low. Willis didn't want to take a risk on it.
At Seagull Stadium, this is Bill Dunn in the headgear. Well, that was a swinging arm over the top that hasn't missed the mark. And it's Peter Gill, the player.
Well, I think he's left the West player a little bit hurt as well. Bill Dunn doesn't look too good. They're grabbing his mouth guard, trainer checking him. Peter Gill's going to get a bit of a chat from the ref here.
Well, without even looking at the replay, I'm prepared to say that tackle slipped into the careless category. Let's look at it. Peter Gill.
Well, he got him before he was going down too, so you can't really claim that the player was falling in the tackle. Peter Gill himself standing upright and hitting him around the head.
Well, he's going to be put on report here, Peter Gill. Blaine has called the linesman in as Justin Durley warms up on the sideline for the Magpies. At the moment, the concern is with Bill Dunn. Mick Blaine has already called in that linesman on the eastern side of the ground. And Peter Gill will find himself on report. And now they've called for the stretcher for Bill Dunn. So I think Peter Gill might be in some further trouble this week.
Yeah, he's not a very well man, Billy Dunn. We'll have a look again here. Well, before you see his hand end up grabbing him across the face, but before that his forearm hit him right across the chin or the upper jaw. He's not too good.
Well, I say it again, in my book, that just slipped straight into the careless category.
Did his nose look like that? Well, let's have a look at his nose there. I'm not sure if it was that bad before the game, but it is certainly out of place there.
He's not a well boy, Bill Dunn. This will call Justin Durley into the action. Bill Dunn, former Steeler. And that could be the last we see of Bill Dunn in this match. And on goes the former Rooster in Justin Durley. The penalty, of course, has already been awarded. And Andrew Leeds will look for touch on the western side of the ground with no score. Seagulls and the Magpies. And the hit up comes the way of Mark Horrow. The defence again there in numbers, but Horrow wrestles away from the first one. Now up to 25 metres out from the line. Good first hit up in this set of 6. Now out of dummy half. They're inside the 20. The Magpies lined up to the left-hand side and standing deep. Grief takes it up on the third tackle. Again got past the first man. That was Ward. And now just 10 metres out from the line. Mesher at dummy half. Touch again now for White. And 5 metres out from the line. The Magpies have been here before. And yet to post any points as Georgalis has dropped it. And dropped it cold too with runners on his outside.
A big let-off there for the Coast. Georgalis, they had plenty of options out wide.
So no scorers yet. The Seagulls and the Magpies. Scrum work by Coleman. Up there with the most experienced players in the game, Craig Coleman. Paul Langmack and Coleman, the two captains, two of the veterans. Now the Gold Coast get a penalty from outside their own 20. Inside the 10 rules Paul McBlain. The advantage has been with the Magpies, been camped inside the 20 of the Gold Coast. Can't get over the line.
Well, they're hanging on the coast and taking their time. They need to rest.
Goddard with a free kick for Coleman, brings Patterson into the play. Strong arm tackle from Grief and Mesher. Coast just inside Magpies territory. Coleman skirts across field, lovely inside ball to Woods, and that is high, and that could well be off. First tackle of the match for Dooley has caught him high, and Justin Dooley, the player, caught out.
Well, a tough decision for McBlain. He's already put Gill on report for a tackle that was, well, he saw it. It was blatantly high. I don't think he could send Dooley off on that. It wouldn't really be fair to the Magpies.
Well, there's the first point of impact. It's a loose old arm from Dooley, but the pace that Woods was hitting the ball up added to the way the tackle looked. It's a very loose arm.
It's above the shoulder, that's for sure. Certainly around the neck.
Well, having called Gill's tackle careless, I think Dooley slips into that same category. In the meantime, it's the Coast on the attack. Baildon into the play. Look at Baildon. The play we've seen a whole lot of. This is Colin Ward, tackled outside the 20. That time Dooley went low. This is the biggest chance of the match for the Gold Coast. He's going through as Sloss. 15 metres out from the line. Grief trying to wrap up the ball over the top. Georgalis around the legs. Back to the left they come. Goddard and Coleman. Coleman, he had runners. Picks off Campion. The Coast still with the ball. 8 metres out from the line. Goddard. Then away. Switch of play again from Coleman to Woods. He's recovered. The pass was knocked down into the hands of Sloss. And Sloss is back with it. The tackle count restarts. That's the first of 6. 5 metres out from the Magpies line. Goddard trying to do what he did against Penrith. Steal a try out of dummy half. He's tackled. Kyle Wild hanging on. Also Glenn Grief. Dummy half is Gillard. He has a go. Gillard will get over. No, and he's lost the ball. He's knocked it forward. And he's knocked it forward in the field of play. So we'll have a 10-metre scrum.
Well, the opportunity was there for Gillard, but on second tackle, that's cruel. Seagulls coach John Harvey be tearing his hair out. Didn't quite get to the line and lost it in the meantime.
23 metres out from the Gold Coast line. Second hit up will come for Dooley. And every other set of 6, the third has come for Grief. He's warming up for this one. Here he comes, Grief. Up he goes. Turns it back inside for Georgalis. Then across for Leeds. Floating pass finds McGuinness. McGuinness 10 metres out. And taken in the tackle by Craig Coleman. He had to make it Coleman. Now through Willis for Andrew Willis. Georgalis. Across field he goes into the arms of Gillard. In front of the Gold Coast post, 10 metres out from the line. And Western Suburbs looking to come back to the left. Through Andrew Willis. Short ball finds Dooley. Dooley, great offload to McGuinness. And that's the first try for the match. Justin Dooley, well, controversial start for him into this match, but McGuinness has the first try and it's 4-0.
Well, they put a passage of some good plays together here, West. This ball out for Dooley. He manages to pull 2 defenders in there, and that's what got them to try. McGuinness running short off him, and the winger Patterson just couldn't hold.
Try scorer number 4, Ken McGuinness.
See this ball coming out, and that nice little offload there. McGuinness running into the hole. And plenty of tries for him so far this season. In fact, 7.
And that try for Ken McGuinness. In fact, he's now the Western Suburbs leading try scorer this year with a tally of 7, one ahead of Brandon Pearson, who's on the bench for the Magpies. Leeds 18 metres out with this kick. The 500 mark as far as career points are concerned. That one looks a lot better than the first. And the Magpies have turned 4 into 6. Western Suburbs leading the Seagulls. The fight's on the sideline, 6 points to 0.
Gone in the match, West leading 6 to the Gold Coast Seagulls 0.
18 metres gone in the match, West leading 6 to 0. 18 metres gone in the match, West leading 6 to the Gold Coast Seagulls 0. 18 metres gone in the match, West leading 6 to the Gold Coast Seagulls 0. 18 metres gone in the match, West leading 6 to the Gold Coast Seagulls 0. 18 metres gone in the match, West leading 6 to the Gold Coast Seagulls 0. 18 metres gone in the match, West leading 6 to the Gold Coast Seagulls 0. 18 metres gone in the match, West leading 6 to the Gold Coast Seagulls 0. 18 metres gone in the match, West leading 6 to the Gold Coast Seagulls 0. 18 metres gone in the match, West leading 6 to the Gold Coast Seagulls 0. 18 metres gone in the match, West leading 6 Mesher across for Langmack. Long ball across for Andrew Willis, then Leeds. He's calling Bell. Bell stood back and Leeds takes the tackle on the 30. Again, it is 5 tackles for the Magpies. This is Andrew Willis. This bomb putting pressure now on Patterson again. He flies high, it misses his head by 2 metres. McGuinness should have a try and does. He scores the try. McLean will award it. Will misjudge the jump terribly, Tim Patterson, and there was no cover there. 10 points to 0.
Saw a good take earlier on from Patterson, but not this time. Here's the bomb. He's coming in from his wing. You see him on screen there. A good jump, but no footy. He's missed it by about 2 metres. Too much pace there from McGuinness. He did very well. That ball stayed low. He just let it pop up into his hands.
Well, what was going through the mind just at those last seconds when Patterson's taken off the ground? He's gone, oh gosh, I'm a long way off this one.
Was there a Western Suburbs hand in? That looked like may have almost come off one of their players.
There it is. Gee, it'd be a tough call if it, the rule if it did come off a hand. It looked like a clean miss. McGuinness now 8 tries for the season. 6 becomes 8 in quick time. This for a 12-0 lead. It's on time to half-time. Leeds has struck it beautifully. Never looked like missing. And the Magpies now over the Gold Coast. 12 points to 0.
Andrew Leeds, fullback for unsuccessful with the conversion.
And again, they're away. This will be tackle number 3 with Dooley, trying to spin away from Woods. 38 metres out from the line. Mesher at dummy half. Georgalis. Again, he skirts across field, has a choice of runners inside. He picked off Andrew Willis. The ball was ripped out there by Gillard. And that's just the dumb penalty from Gillard. Well, I don't know what his defence is. He's bounced the ball down.
Well, he's blowing up. He's given away a 10-metre penalty. Sure, I don't think he was playing for the football. He tackled the player around that area, and the ball just popped out into his hands, but no point arguing with the ref. Coleman, the captain, Craig Coleman, having to come out.
Well, what do you give Gillard for the bounce of the ball? And now he's got 10 in the bin.
Did you give him 10? 10 minutes for dissent.
He'll wear the dunce's cap for all of those 10 minutes too. You can't defend him here, Brett Gillard. Even if the penalty was marginal in the first instance, the way he carried on. And the Magpies, there's the bounce of the ball from Gillard. The Magpies have elected to take the quick tap away for Dooley against a 12-man defensive line. We've said it before, arguing with referees you can't win. It's the same as arguing with your wife.
And they're short out on the right. They've got to go, well so much space on the right, and they decided to put a little play up the middle.
And Dooley's put boot to ball, kicking it 20 rows back into the crowd.
You have a look at it there. They're stretched out the Gold Coast. And, well, Horo, even if he caught that, he was running straight back into the defence.
The Coast still on the attack. Goddard back to the left. This time there's some direction. Coleman to Gill. Taken to ground by Horo. McLean played the advantage and has caught them inside the 10. Quick tap comes from Doonerman. Doonerman all the way himself. Andrew Doonerman trapped just a metre out from the line. Goddard will have a go himself, I'm sure. Goddard at dummy half. No, he won't. Of course he won't. Coleman taking ball and all. He should have. And the tackler there was Georgalis. Goddard this time at dummy half. Away for Colin Ward. Ward taken in the tackle. Over the top was Willis. And the Magpies, this is the most pressure they've been under in the first half. This time Goddard goes himself from 10 out and crawls over and scores. Jamie Goddard. Well, I knew he'd do it eventually. And the Gold Coast have their first try. It's 12 points to 4.
Well, it's easy in hindsight, but all they had to do was hold the ball for 6 tackles. I think it would have been about 4th by the time they got there. Here's this Terry Mesher running that ball. He tried to hold that back, I think, at the last moment. And that's where the Gold Coast attack started from. Young fella Tim Patterson, who has looked good every time he's grabbed the footy. We see Goddard, who finally decided to run at the urging of Andrew Voss, crept himself over. Vossi, here he goes.
Well, he did it twice against Penrith. Look, he's a very talented footballer, this bloke, Jamie Goddard. And that's a fair try. 7 for the season, leading try scorer for the Coast. So it's Kevin Campion with a kick. He's not the first choice kicker. The first choice is Brendan Hurst. Campion, a little stab at the ball as well wide. Goal kicking could be a problem. Western Suburbs an 8-point lead, 12 points to 4.
Unsuccessful with the attempted conversion. With 2 minutes to go in the first half.
Wasn't a very confident attempt there from Kevin Campion.
Goal.
Real power in the kick. Only the second time Western Suburbs have had to kick off in the match. Andrew Leeds driving it to this southeastern corner. Coleman picks off Dave Woods with a hit up. Taken in the tackle. 3 men in there. Grief, Mesha and Horro. He did get it back to the 20, and that's the aim from every kickoff. Colin Ward. The bust through the tackle there. Forged through the defence. Paul Bell was the first tackler. Left side play for Campion. Jink there and taken again by Mark Horro. His tackle count creeping up for the Magpies. In fact, leading tackler was 16 as Wilson. Step off the right foot. Then found Duneman. The Gold Coast promising right now for McGrady. Thought about kicking. Turned Georgialis around for Patterson. And Andrew Leeds has creamed him at the finish. He just looked to the side and was cleaned up. Still on though for the Coast. Duneman for Coleman. Cut out ball for Peacock. Peacock then for Campion up to the 20. Inside for Dave Woods. The 2 front rowers out in the centres. Back for Duneman for Coleman. Then across it came for Goddard. Knocked down by McGuinness. The knock-on will be against the Magpies.
Well, the fans are on the edge of their seats. The Gulls have found a bit of form. Only for that knockdown by McGuinness. They looked good. Here's this initial break. Scott Wilson, ball back inside. A nice little ball over the top from Duneman. McGrady showed good pace too. And that hit by Leeds. He stayed on his man beautifully.
Scrum win. Only seconds remaining up to half-time. Flick pass from Duneman. The Coast still on the attack. The ball pops out of the hands of Coleman. Straight into the arms of Peacock. Then for Baildon. He comes back in field and taken to ground. This will be the last play of the half. Coleman. He knows it. Across the line to Duneman. He tries the kick for Patterson. Was he onside? Up he goes. It's come down for Patterson. That is a try to the winger for the Coast. 2 tries coming up to half-time. And it's 12 points to 8.
Well, apart from one missed bomb, Patterson's had a great game. And a beautifully placed kick here. Now, because it's come too wide, the winger for West had to stay up fairly flat. Duneman places it beautifully in the pocket there. And Willis, well, he's just out-jumped. Great work, Tim Patterson.
Well, he was definitely onside. That's one thing the first replay shows. And he's got his own back from the earlier try scored by the Magpies. Patterson showing that he can jump. Up he goes. Great try to the number 5, Tim Patterson, and he loves it. Well, he's done plenty in general play, this man, Tim Patterson, but for that one error, he's had a great half of football. Former Newcastle Knight. Trouble here for Peter Gill.
Well, the other player that's injected a lot of sting into the Gold Coast attack has been Andrew Duneman since he's been on. Looked very good around the edge of the ruck. And a well-placed kick there. Very smart play for Patterson. Well, I think the Magpies should be stunned.
I think the Magpies are readying themselves for a blast from Tom Rodonicus from 12-0 up, 12-8, and could be 12-10, Kevin Campion. 3 goals, not a big tally, only 6. And again, he's pushed it away to the left. So we go to half-time. The Gold Coast, I think, will be happy with that scoreline. The Magpies leading the Seagulls 12 points to 8. We'll take a break and come back with the second half.
At half-time, Western Suburbs 12, 2 tries for Kevin.
Andrew Leeds now the counter-attack for the Magpies. Runs away from Ward, tries to run away from Peacock. Peacock with a push got him to ground. He's had to wait for Pearson to get across the dummy half there. This is Mesha for the first hit up. Saw from the speed of an earlier bust, he could quite easily slip into halfback, Terry Mesha. He's again, this time for Dooley. Follow-on tackle there from Hurst. Dooley's hit-ups, there's plenty of them. This is Kyle White. Nice offload for Andrew Willis to advance the football. Now 5 metres inside their own half, the Magpies. This is Langmack. He gets the left arm free there for Andrew Willis. And Andrew Willis half through a gap. Taken down on halfway by McGrady. 5 tackles for the Magpies. They lead by 14 points to 8. Little kick tried by McGuinness. He needs a bounce here. Ken McGuinness. Oh, what sort of solo try is this one? Ken McGuinness, great football from the Magpies centre. Superb play. Ken McGuinness, 18 points to 8.
Well, he's hardly touched the ball today, McGuinness, but he's come up with 3 tries. And look at this for an individual effort. Down the blind side, takes off from dummy half, gets to the defensive line and drops it on the toe. That's twice. And it just sits up in time for him to get that little kick over Scotty Wilson. I think it might have even ricocheted off of Wilson.
The third try to number 4 for West.
Well, he's keeping his side in the game and keeping them ahead. Great soccer skills there from McGuinness.
Touch of Brett Mullins about this try with a bounce. A try for Canberra. This time it's McGuinness for Western Suburbs. He's a fine centre. 9 tries now for the season. Ken McGuinness, just 19 years of age. Local junior for Western Suburbs. From Sarah Redfern High School, and his brother Kevin playing in reserve grade here for the Magpies. And again it's Andrew Leeds who'll look for the extra 2. Good record, isn't it? Only missed 9 shots at goal this year. 80%. 15 metres out. 10 metres to the left-hand side of the post. No trouble for Andrew Leeds. And that's a very handy lead for the Magpies. West 20, the Coast 8.
Leading the Gold Coast Seagulls 28.
Well, worth having another look at. The confidence of a 19-year-old Ken McGuinness took it upon himself. Great rugby league try. So here at Seagull Stadium, Western Suburbs, as if they'll add to their points tally again today, as this is Dooley back over the 20. Chanel for Langmack. Working forward pack. Offload again from Langmack for Georgialis. They're making easy metres now, the Magpies. And it's the offloads that are hurting the Gold Coast.
Well, you can see the Western Suburbs players as well. When Langmack, well, as they made an error now, when Langmack takes the ball up, the Western Suburbs players gather around. They know he's got some good offloads in him.
Well, Pearson's in trouble here. He took a big left-handed swing there at Scotty Wilson. I don't think he hurt Scott Wilson, but Pearson has to be penalised. A big swinging left arm. He'll cop that caution. He had no defence there, Brandon Pearson, after that attempted tackle. He has another go. It's the second attempt that he has the big swing. Here he goes. Wham! The Gold Coast now needing to score, and probably in this set of 6, as Patterson has tackled. The settler 32 metres out from the line. Coleman. Here goes Dave Wood, straight up the centre. Tackled around the legs by Justin Dooley. Goddard's in a dummy half. The runner here is Brendan Hurst. He's with it now. Hurst got straight away from Dooley. That was a poor attempt. Flung to the ground 12 metres out from the line. Sloppy play the ball for Goddard. Penalty to the Coast. And again, probably a sin-binnable offence. Quick tap from Coleman. Away it comes now for Gillard. Tried to bump away from Grief. Can't do so and tackled. 5 metres out from the line. They're looking to go back to the left. And away goes Goddard, looking for try number 2. And the hooker is tackled just a metre out from the line. Gillard this time slips into dummy half. Doonerman is calling for it at first receiver. This is Doonerman. Long floating pass out to Balden. He comes back infield away from Smith. Balden forces his way over. Got it down at least on the try line, and that's a fair 4-pointer. A long ball has worked from Doonerman. The Coast back in it at 20 points to 12.
They were short on numbers on both sides of the field, the Magpies. Doonerman's read this very well. Normally that long cutout pass is your worst option because it gives the defence a chance to slide, but they didn't do it well enough. Balden did well to get inside his man and then force his way over. This long ball, that's a couple of tries. Doonerman's already set up. He's keeping his side in the game. Balden kept himself alert. There's the try line, forces his way over.
Strong effort from David Balden, 24 years of age. Played his earlier football with Valleys in the Brisbane competition, and he had plenty to do to come up with that 4-pointer.
Well, Brendan Hurst now the man, the shot at goal. I'd have to suggest he's a better goal kicker than Kevin Campion.
Campion was no champion.
Saying Hurst is not the worst.
Brendan Hurst, he spent a good deal of that first half in the blood bin. He has a 68% success rate, so it's not that flash. This one from 5 in from touch. He needs to get it. Can it swing back? It doesn't. Just wide of the posts. So still an 8-point margin, the Magpies over the coast. What I like about this play was Coleman was prepared to let Doonerman call the shots.
Well, it's something the Gold Coast need, isn't it? They need more options than just Craig Coleman directing play.
Leads with a restart for the Magpies. And that one will find touch from the kickoff. So we'll have a scrum inside the 20. There was no attempt to stop the ball from going into touch from Peter Gill.
Really no reason to stop it going into touch either. They've got the scrum and perhaps the chance for their backs to attack.
They've scored 3 tries, the Gold Coast. This is Patterson. Away he goes, Tim Patterson. Boy, is he at a game. The right winger for the Gold Coast. They roll on now with Gillard. Long ball for Baildon. This time he can't get a hand on it. Goes back for it. It's the tightrope down the sideline. Taken in the tackle there and pushed back by Horror. 35 metres out from his own line, the Gold Coast. Putting it up a gear now through Peacock. Through that first tackle there by Grief, he fell off. Again, Horror was called upon to clean up. Away for Dave Woods. Some inspired charges now and slipped the ball away, taken by Hurst. At full pelt, Hurst up to the 20, pushed back, now an offload for Ward. It's all the forwards for the Gold Coast. And Ward taken down, 15 out. And slam onto that ball, Brendan Hurst. The Coast through Coleman, across the line to McGrady. McGrady half through the tackle. Almost thought about passing it off the ground. It's last tackle for the Gold Coast. Switch of play from Coleman. Here's Doonerman with a kick. It looks a little too deep. It bounces up though, and then is forced over the dead ball line. Anything can happen with the shape of the football, and that one sat up beautifully for Doonerman.
Well, is this the same football side we saw early in the game? Even early in this half, they've looked terrible, but when they get themselves into gear, they are a good team. This ball from David Woods was a pearler. Very flat pass and well held. Hurst, he sprints away and does a good job to offload himself. If they can hold the football, well, they can score plenty of tries.
So it is 3 tries all, but those 4 goals for Western Suburbs to the Seagulls 0 is the difference. The Gold Coast putting together some good football. Gillard tackle. First of 6, 30 metres out from the Western Suburbs line. Now Patterson, he wants the football all the time. Tim Patterson, the winger. Goddard. Now for Hurst. Wasn't able to offload. A support player was taken out and Kyle White is penalised. Well, it was just a little bump. I think Dave Woods did a bit of an act in falling.
Well, what do they do now? Is it 8 points behind, worth the shot at goal? Dave Woods in support of Hurst here. Well, I guess the referee has to make a decision on it. He wasn't getting the ball.
To go for those 2 points, Kyle White, the player penalised right in front of his own post. Yeah, there's enough in it, but Woods did take a fair sort of dive, but White wasn't entitled to drop the shoulder in that situation. So Hurst again. This one right in front, just beyond the 20-metre line. We've seen one from Andrew Leeds hit the post. Pretty much the same position earlier in the game. Hurst this time. There's the first goal of the day as far as the Gold Coast is concerned, and it's a 6-point ball game. The Magpies over the Seagulls.
Brendan Hurst successful with the penalty. The Seagulls 14, Western Suburbs 20, and Jose on the eastern side of the ground trying to show us you are the master of the Mexican wave, Jose. How can you work this crowd?
It's a real contest on our hands now as Leeds gets play back underway again, looking for touch. And we'll find it again, this time 10 metres further downfield. Scrum to pack down inside the 10.
Well, it worked last time for the Coast. Scored a try. Well, got a shot at goal within 6 tackles. And made plenty of ground. That time, it's going to be a little bit harder coming out from 10 metres out.
scrum packs down on the 10-metre line. The Gold Coast win it for Patterson. Everything he's done with some urgency today, Tim Patterson. And he did well, got it over the 20 from the scrum. That was a good settler. This is Gillard.
Well, how short are Western Suburbs on this side of the field if the Gold Coast keep coming to their left?
Peter Gill. He gets it back for Goddard. Goddard will take it up for another 10, then a Fenn away from Cherry Mesher. The Gold Coast are really on a roll. They're inside Western Suburbs half. Hurst, show of their hands, then for Dave Woods. Tackled 43 metres out from the Magpies line. Western Suburbs leading by 20 points to 14. Gill back in field for Coleman. Then through the flat pass, through the centre of the field goes McGrady. McGrady almost up to the 20. Taken around the legs. It's last tackle for the Gold Coast. Will they try the bomb? It's Coleman again with a grubber kick. It came back the way and has come the hands of Western Suburbs into the hands of Willis. So Western Suburbs back with a football. Georgalis, it is tackled on the 30. And in fact has dropped the ball, Georgalis.
Well, I think starting to go the way of the Seagulls. Georgalis, a first tackle mistake. Just lost control there momentarily, and the referee
Gold Coast from 30 metres out. The Western Suburbs side broke very quickly from that scrum. Gillard taken across field, 30 out from the west line. Doonerman for Gill. Gill stepped off the right, taken up to the 20. Then with the offload for Hurst. Hurst straightens things up now. And wrapped up there, there's 4 Western Suburbs defenders. Andrew Leeds was called into the line. They are spread out to the left. Doonerman first receiver. Coleman was there as second receiver. It goes past Coleman. Wilson cleans up. Penalty to the Gold Coast. They were inside the 10. 20 points to 14. Quick tap from Wilson. Can't get it over the line. Kenny just a metre short. The Gold Coast, they've got numbers left or right. Goddard, he's looking for try 2. Taken in the tackle. That's the second of 6. Andrew Leeds locking up the ball with Horro. The Gold Coast starting to spread out to the right this time. Gill comes back to left. They try a straightforward play. Nothing doing there in the centre of the ruck. Goddard. 3 men on the left. The remainder of the Seagulls players on the right. Coleman to Doonerman. Trying to bring a man into play. It's Peacock taken, and a great tackle by Willis. Could be a match win.
He did very well, Willis, reading it. But I tell you what, the way the Western Suburbs wingers come rushing up and in, Paul Smith's doing the same on this side of the field, West's right side of the field. The little kick in behind is always on. Have a look at Willis out wide. Comes flying in there and just leaves so much space behind him. But he did a good job on that occasion.
Strong charge in turn from Justin Dooley. Exactly what the Magpies wanted. Got it back to the 40. This is Kyle White, good follow-up. Up to halfway, this is getting back to doing what Western Suburbs can do so well. Cherry Mesher across for Georgalis. Then fed on for Willis. Came off the shoulder of McInnes. Onto a flying Leeds. Leeds inside for Andrew Willis. Around the outside to Darren Willis, taken down 15 metres out from the line. Last tackle for the Magpies. Blind side goes Andrew Willis. Back in field it came. Picked up by Coleman. And referee Paul McBlain, what's he going to rule here? To rule the changeover. That's what the crowd's not happy about. The knock-on had come from Western Suburbs. And the crowd was hoping play would continue, but this was good stuff from the Magpies.
We'll have a look at it. 2 great tackles here. Some good play by the Magpies. Peter Gill makes one here. Gets himself up again for the next play. Well, you'll see him inside. And it's Peter Gill on the spot again.
By that replay, you'd have to probably agree with the crowd. The ball was never fielded by Willis. Turnover on the last play. A short ball for McGrady. So they've got the option of the 3 players now, the Gold Coast. The creative players, Coleman, Gill and Doonerman. This is Doonerman with it. Received the pass from Coleman. Long pass out to Baildon. Smith across in cover. Comes back in field. Did well. Someone said Andrew Baildon. David Baildon tackle. Just short of halfway. Now with Coleman. The kick over the top wasn't a good one. It could bounce anywhere. Getting back is McInnes. And safely cleans up for the Magpies just outside the 20. The Magpies up by 6. 20 points to 14. This is Andrew Leeds. making the tackle. Can really rifle a pass, Andrew Doonerman, as we saw for the try for David Baildon. Magpies just for the moment will try and settle things down through Durley, juggling it. He's able to get it back under control, just short of halfway. Work the left side with Langmack. All more stuff there from Gillard. Over the top was Hurst. In quick time, the Magpies have now used up 5 tackles. Terrible pass on the last. And McBlain this time, the ball turns over for the Coast. Doonerman, there's numbers here on the left. Floating pass for Baildon, who knocks on. It wasn't a flash pass, and now McBlain has ruled inside the 10 against the Magpies. So he played the advantage.
It was a let-off there for the Coast, but I think Andrew Doonerman has to get this long pass under control. OK, it's on sometimes. On that occasion, maybe the short inside ball to the play that came inside him.
Big finish here at Seagull Stadium. Inside the final 15, Baildon tackle. 15 metres out from the line. Goddard in a dummy half. Coleman goes crossfield in slow motion, then speeds it up. Was cleaned up by Andrew Willis. And again, a penalty awarded to the Gold Coast. For offside that time, Western Suburbs. Well, Cherry Mesher.
A proper ruling there from the ref. The pass from Coleman came off of Willis. He tried to slip a nice little short ball in. See this Coleman, he finds a hole himself, goes for it. And that ball has come off Willis and offside, Cherry Mesher.
Well, Scotty Wilson took it upon himself last time. They had a penalty within kicking range to take a quick tap. This time, they're going to look for the 2 points.
Let's have another look at this earlier, this pass, this long cutout pass by Doonerman. Now, a nice little short ball there, or a cutout pass that, well, look, Baildon has got a bit of space to run into, but it's not a good ball.
Tom Raudonikis is into his 3rd pack, I would think. Gets the instructions down to Wayne Ellis on the sideline. Win or lose, he ends up with a very red ear. So Hurst it is from close range. There's 1 goal he's kicked. Make that 2. And all of a sudden, it's just 4 points the difference. Western Suburbs 20, the Gold Coast 16 here at Seagull Stadium. Kick-off for the Magpies. Andrew Leeds again kicking through his favourite corner. This time he won't find touch. Gillard takes it on the full and gets back over the 20. The Gold Coast still behind on the scoreboard. That's been the situation all day. Sloss it is who gets it back. 25 metres out, now up to the 30. Tackler over the top was Glenn Grief. Colin Ward this time to hit up for the Coast. 35 out from his own line. Woods follows it up for another 10. So the Gold Coast have worked their way back into this match after a poor start to the second half. After a grand finish to the first half. Coleman inside for Hurst this time. Spun away from Dooley. Dooley able to hang on. 5 inside the Western Suburbs half. 5 tackles used up. Goddard rather, and Doonerman with a kick deep for the corner. Will it sit up this time? No, it doesn't. And goes dead in goal, so we'll come back to the 20 for the restart.
That fellow Doonerman, who seems to be one of the players that can do it for the Gold Coast, along with Brendan Hurst. Did very good in the second half.
Corro from that restart. Back to the 30. The Magpies, no change of tactics for them while they're in front. Kyle White tackle.
Well, do you think it's important for the Magpies not to try to shut the game down here? but really to try to get themselves up in the other end of the field, perhaps even put some more points on the board. I think the Gold Coast have got some more scoring in them. They're taking a few risks with the footy.
I'm sure they'd love to put points on the board, the Magpies. This is Georgialis. I think Tommy would be hoping they can put it beyond reach of the Seagulls. As Langmack able to stand for Leeds. Leeds up to the 30. Andrew Willis was flying through in support of Langmack. Just as Langmack looked the other way. This is Andrew Willis, the high ball. Pressure on Scott Wilson. And Wilson does well. Hasn't made too many mistakes at fullback. And now away for Peacock. From inside his own 10, the cover comes across in Langmack. The Western Suburbs realise the desperation of that. Peacock is a flyer. Away to Duneman. In fact, it's Ward tackle just outside his own 20. The Gold Coast still down by 4 points, and Patterson gets away out of dummy half for another 10. Just taking some of the pressure off his forwards. Coleman calls a blindside play. Cut-out ball for Bailman. Back in field he comes. And over the top, swinging arm from Bell. Again, it's Duneman. This time he hasn't got any support as he runs up to the line. That ended up not the best of plays for the Gold Coast. 5 tackles just inside their own half. This is Coleman. He looked to the right, then places the kick to the left. Is it going to hold up? This one will from Coleman. In fact, it's a beauty heading for the sideline. Bailden charges through and makes the tackle on Leeds. Well, Leeds was taking his time, and Paul Smith was allowing Leeds to take the ball. And Bailden, like a thief in the night, almost got there first.
And they're slow getting back to the Magpies. Pressure's all on them.
Georgialis a good run outside the 20. Western Suburbs side calling for changes. Damien Driscoll now on for the Magpies as McGuinness gets it back to Bell. Bell with a step. They need to settle into that pattern. Here they go now. Straight up the centre. Cherry Mesher. Mesher through. Now tackled on the 30 by Scott Wilson. That would have been the solo try of the year from the hooker. And he's been hurt in the tackle. It is the last for the Magpies. Langmack through Andrew Willis. Then across the line to Georgialis. There are gaps appearing. Then the offload to Horrow. Horrow has a man outside and stumbles. Still unloads there to McGuinness. McGuinness with 3 tries next to his name. A grubber straight into the hands of Wilson. So the changeover is affected. And in fact, this will be the first of 6 now. Going by the ruling as Patterson comes across field again. He's beaten the first man basically every time he's touched the ball. No man at dummy half. Goddard gets there for Ward. Ward outside the 20, taking the ground. Langmack over the top. Alden now for Woods. One not the same force in that hit up from Dave Woods. It was a tired-looking David Woods getting back to his feet. Duneman showed it inside. He's through. Andrew Duneman. Supporters on the inside. Jockeying the man inside was Georgialis and did well. And the Coast end up over the sideline. The cover of Georgialis. He kept Duneman in 2 minds.
Well, it was a great run by Duneman. Here he goes. Almost gone by the shorts there. A couple of little goose steps. Couldn't beat his man. Good cover, Georgialis. The fans were all willing them to stay inside. It's early tackle count and another loss for the Gold Coast.
What Georgialis did there, he didn't commit himself to the tackle too early. It made Duneman force the play. Here's Leeds. Out of dummy half. Away he goes inside Gold Coast territory. I'm still a little worried about the Gold Coast defensive line right now as Langmack takes it up and is taken in defence by Coleman. They work the right side. This is Kyle White. They stand back and wait. Gillard makes the tackle. They're 25 metres out from the line. It is 4 points the difference, so the field goal's not going to make a whole lot of difference. Georgialis trying to get away from his man, taken there by Brendan Hurst. Last tackle for the Magpies. 25 out and 15 in from touch. Leeds calls for it. He goes for the high ball again. I think they figure that eventually Wilson might come up with a drop ball. It gets nowhere near Wilson. Batted back for the Western Suburbs side. Horrow, then McGuinness. They make the tackle on McGuinness and that's a changeover. You can't blame him for trying the high ball. Scott Wilson has had his problems in the past and indeed did have his problems against Penrith. It's the Gold Coast now. This is Wilson. Backs away from Langmack. Back he comes, trying to get to the 20. He makes it. So still Western Suburbs 20, leading the Gold Coast 16. It's Coleman looking for runners. finds McGrady into top pace, ducked under a high tackle from Horrow. Probably wasn't a high tackle, it was just the arm hanging out. McGrady went under it like a limbo stick as Gillard the offload. The Gold Coast again putting the passes together. Patterson, still Patterson, tackled short of halfway.
Well, he's had a blinder, Tim Patterson. Certainly is a handful, strong runner and a great fend.
The Sloss now further upfield, the horrible pass inside. A call, I think, from the Magpies has worked a treat for them. Jerry Mesher into his hands. Giving players a rap, what a fine game Jerry Mesher has had for the Magpies. So the pressure back off for the moment, as Driscoll it is with a hit up, and a strong one too. They're all drilled in the same way, these Western Suburbs forwards. Griffith is the follow-up, tackled 30 metres out from the line. There's a few tired Gold Coast players out there right now, and they're under pressure. Langmack, he ran up again to the line and is driven backwards. Coleman was having none of it. 5 tackles for the Magpies, 25 out. Left side play for Leeds. He tries the high ball again. Wilson getting back for it. On his own goal line again, comes up with a great take, and this time counter-attack from inside his own 20. Links up with Patterson. Patterson and McGuinness. Away from McGuinness, taken to ground by Horrow and finished off over the top. It's Langmack. Great effort from the back rowers for Western Suburbs. Numbers on the left. Coleman across to Peacock. Peacock tries it himself. Throws an awful ball. He was flung around on the roundabout and then just let go of the football.
Well, the Gold Coast did second tackle and they're just trying the desperation passes. That was totally uncalled for. If Peacock takes the tackle, Western Suburbs are in all sorts of trouble. Here we see the ball come out. And, well, he had his man inside him, but the man was 2 yards in front. He still threw it 3 metres in front of him.
I think he had to catch and draw the man and pass. Inside the final 5 now, Western Suburbs. Still clinging to that 4-point lead. I mentioned again, it is 3 tries all. It's McGuinness. He's been the scorer of all 3 tries. Back it comes. Andrew Willis with a desperate dive on the ball, but the tackle count has restarted for the Magpies. That helps. It's on the 40-metre line and play slows down as Leeds. Another 8 metres. There's been some good players. Leeds is another one out there. This is Darren Willis. Tackled 40 metres out from the Gold Coast line. Still got a feeling there's another try left in this match. Is Grief. Up he goes into the hands of Hurst. It was a good hit up though from Glenn Grief. Doing what he does best. Slow play the ball from Grief. Mesher. This is Horrow. Horrow goes through the centre. Horrow will score. Mark Horrow gets over the line. 20-metre bust by the second rower. Crack open the shambles. The Magpies have won.
Well, he's going to do a hunger out there, Mark Horrow. He's happy. He's got his side home. And you were right about a try coming up, Andrew. Both sides looking tired defensively, and this is a weary Gold Coast defensive line. Dave Woods, just an arm out there, couldn't get him. He did well also to beat the fullback, Wilson.
He did well to get all the way over the try line, and once he got to the try line, I think he had some thoughts to keep going. He puts it down 5 metres inside the in-goal area. He loves it, Mark Horrow.
Well, he's had a fairly long career with only 8 tries in the Winfield Cup. That's why he's so happy.
Tommy can rest easy now. Leeds looking to add to his points tally for this year. Creeping up towards the 100 mark. 4 from 5 today. And another 2 points there. 5 from 6. And Western Suburbs, a match-winning lead at 26 points to 16. Seagull, a sad figure.
That could be John Harvey inside that Seagull suit. He'd be walking around like that at the moment.
Well, you reckon?
I'm not too happy anyway.
Introduced a crazy Mexican today, the Gold Coast officials. Worked a treat.
They've shown again, at times, moments of brilliance, the Gold Coast. But they back it up with some unforced errors, silly ones that just cruel any opportunity they've had.
A kick off for Andrew Duneman. They try, well, that's what I call the long short one. It bounces back. And Willis is caught 25 metres out from his line. They were going for the short kick-off, but it just went too far. There was no way the Gold Coast players could regather. Bella's tackle. by Gillard. Driven across field there. Western Suburbs with this win today will take them along to 16 points. There's Driscoll tackled. 35 out. Mesha. Been a busy player, Cherry Mesha.
Well, I think that he's been their best. Very consistent, some great runs, a lot of defensive work.
I reckon Mark Horro's probably been as good as any.
Well, certainly Mark Horrell. He scored the winning try and his work rate's been very high. Well, who do you want to give it to then, Andrew?
Well, between them, they've made plenty of metres. I'll leave it to you, Gary.
I've just tossed the coin and Cherry Mesha it is. By a split hair.
You can tell Mark Horro, it was your decision. As Duneman tries the kick over the top. Bowden coming through. Paul Smith, though, comes up with the answers. Is tackled by Denny Peacock. And the Magpies, for the first time this year, have put together 3 wins on the trot. And their 8th win for the season. Good effort and an entertaining contest. The Magpies over the Seagulls, 26-16.
To the Seagulls, 16.